was an Imperial fist, and his name was Alexis Pollux. Credit roll, and we're offline now. Alright.
Resetting transmission parameters.
You're still angry?
Yes, I'm still angry.
You had 2,000 viruses.
Still angry.
You had 7 terabytes of occupied RAM, and you couldn't even complete a sentence without spazzing out all over the place. Come on, Phasian. Your Mechadite's temporary memory was filled with La Femme Tosta.
I had an NFT digital download of the Lusty Armageddon toaster and a maid outfit. You ass!
You actually bought an NFT. Oh, come on, are you serious? Come back. Phasian!
Greetings, maggots. I am Azak Araman, Chief Librarian of the Thousand Suns, Captain of the First Fellowship, Commander of the Sekhmet, and Leader of the Corvair. And yes, I am a so-called heretic. Expel the curses and shrieks from your lungs preemptively, if you would, before we continue. I speak to you this fine day to edify you on the matter of another of those you refer to as heretics. I believe this group of heretics you might enjoy learning about. Why am I doing this rather than someone else? Well, if anyone asks, I was bribed into it by one of my own brothers, and we shall leave it at that. So, just be aware that while you may receive some amount of enjoyment from today's broadcast, I am very much being strong-armed into this. Our topic today is Warsmith Strider of the Iron Warriors and his warband known as Chaos Bane. Chaos Bane can be described rather succinctly as a form of bootleg Black Legion. Except you get to retain your own heraldry when you sign up, without some petty bureaucrat pressuring you into showing your Black Legionary pride, whatever that means. They're more vacuous than cultists sometimes, I swear. Even more succinctly, Chaos Bane can be thought of by you as a so-called renegade chapter, only with extra steps. Chaos Bane's leader, Warsmith Strider, was recruited to the Fourth from some backwater world that I am forgetting the name of, long before the Lord of Iron was discovered. Born without a name and born into war, I am told that Warsmith Strider apparently killed his first man at the age of 7. After he witnessed the arrival and the battle prowess of the Fourth Legion, bringing his homeworld into compliance, the child Strider demanded that he join their ranks, and partly due to the sheer gumption of it, was accepted. He took up the mantle of Strider after the Iron Warrior sergeant he first spoke to called him a strident little devil. Who wrote this script?
A fucking idiot. You missed.
Necromlord? On the commissar's ship?
Oh, for fuck's sake, he plays Battle Mace 42 million with a traitor Primarch every Friday. The fact that I'm here is barely the 5th most unusual thing you'd expect to find.
You have a point. Where did you come from?
I have an alcove that I rest in here. By the way, the fact that you're here is the
I'll
10th.
try not to take offense to that.
Does the commissar know that you're transmitting?
No, I'd assume he won't have an issue with it.
Not the first time you've shown up to a place and expected to do as you please, I take it.
Not really.
Well, in that case, you'll have to excuse me.
Where are you going?
Don't worry about that. Enjoy your broadcast.
In any case, Strider moved up the ranks and eventually became part of the honor guard to the Legion Master alongside his best and only friend, Atlas the Mountain, whose size and strength made a mockery of most Astartes. However, Perturabo was discovered and called for the decimation in what was probably the least effective way possible, via lottery. Seriously, what was he thinking when he called for that? At any rate, as if dictated by fate, Atlas was among those called upon to die. Despite the protests of Strider, the mountain would break. For now, at least. Thusly, using the death of his closest brother as fuel, Strider pushed himself to eventually become a Warsmith of the Legion, and was given command of a grand company. He and his company would go on to serve his Primarch and Legion loyally. No matter the content of his orders, he followed them to the letter. From the War of the Crud to the culling of Olympia, Strider carried out every task without complaint. As the fires of the Horus Heresy first began to rage, Strider wasn't overly enthused about serving alongside the War Master, as he saw no actionable difference between it and his service to the Imperium. He served regardless, though he and his Grand Company made no effort to hide their newfound hatred of the Word-Bearers Legion, viewing their new faith as a weakness that needed to be purged. That antipathy would only grow as the years bore onward. There's even a legend that Strider slew one of the Gal Vorbak, though, as far as I can surmise, that was more likely a greater possessed. At one point in the Horus Heresy, he was approached by an Ultramarines apothecary named Elsphius, who brought with him a squad of his fellow medics and wished to join Strider's company. As for precisely why this apothecary defected to serve a traitor legion is unclear, at least to me. Although, the only note of it on this script is, quote, he gets it. So, they have an understanding, I suppose? In any case, it was during the heresy that Strider discovered a particular star system that he would go on to christen Eisen. This Eisen system would one day become Strider's own little base of operations. After the heresy and the legendary Iron Cage, he went back to the Eisen system and purged it of anything and everything resembling chaos and chaos worship, and turned the system into one of militant might, in every way attempting to make it a mirror of his adopted homeworld, Olympia. In the relative turmoil of the Scouring, the Legions of Chaos underwent a fragmenting, and Strider's Grand Company was largely left to its own devices, with the Eisen system becoming its own little fiefdom. After several years of harrowing and destroying other minor Chaos warbands for the mistake of worshipping the gods, Strider's Grand Company took up the mantle of Chaos Bane.
Oh, what? No, my things, no.
Hello, noble blood raven.
Intruder identified as
a proud member of the Blood Ravens.
This servitor seems to be excited. Strange, but even the machine spirits seem to take delight in the presence of the God Emperor's angels.
Yes, well...
I understand you're transmitting?
He's spreading the word of
the God Emperor.
He's preaching from the Book of Lore.
Love and devotion to the Emperor.
How delightful. I have that book too.
Oh, please, no.
Oh, it's no imposition. I'll just go get my copy. We'll sing a hymnal together. Doesn't that sound grand, noble Space Marine?
We should ensure that the reliquary is locked.
Oh. Yes, well, I'll be back once that's done.
I'll be waiting.
I'll let the Commissar know that you're here. He's always happy to see a member of the Space Marines. Dick Priest Frasian, get me a copy of the inventory for the reliquary and meet me there.
What in the world are you trying to do to me?
Entertain myself. Much like I did when I saw how badly you failed the last time you tried to get in the Black Library.
How did you know about
Bitch, I'm me. I know everything. Enjoy yourself. I'm going to go watch her inventory, the reliquary.
She actually thinks you're a servitor.
She thinks you're a blood raven.
Point taken. I fear no man, demon, or creature, but that thing scares me.
Die, heretic! Die! 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 Burn in holy fire!
Anyway, where was I? Yes. Chaos Man. However, the Warsmith knew that he needed more than just his own Astartes to endure in this new galaxy. And so, through displays of power and promises of protection, he recruited several small groups into his fold. Those that Strider conscripted to his cause are, in no specific order, Adept Osiris of the Thousand Suns, his squad of sorcerers, and thrall band of Zangors who were yanked into Strider's fold by force, Centurion Goliath of the World Eaters, and his company of corny berserkers, who was defeated in a duel by the Warsmith and honor-bound to fight for him, Legionnaire Cain of the Night Lords, and his pack of raptors, who approached Strider and offered his services in exchange for payment and safety, Fortress Commander Rushfu of the Death Guard, and his company of Plague Marines, who were conscripted by Strider following the breaking of their citadel, Lieutenant Narcissus the Pretender of the Emperor's Children, and his company of Noise Marines, who asked to join Chaos Bane out of mutual interest, and finally, the newly resurrected Lieutenant Atlas the Mountain, who had been brought back from the dead many millennia after following the decimation. He, of course, upon being resurrected by a word-bearer's scheme, jumped at the chance to fight alongside his long-lost brother. Upon recruiting each of these forces, the Warsmith granted each of them ownership of one planet in the Ison system, and stipulated that any and all Chaos worshippers among his ranks must keep their worship confined to their respective world. In more recent times, the Warsmith claims to have been a part of the expedition to locate Abaddon and the Vengeful Spirit, and even declined the offer to join the Black Legion, calling the despoiler a coward for abandoning his brothers and forsaking his heraldry as a son of Horus. Though Chaos Bane did assist in many of the Black Crusades despite this. It is rumored that Strider once attempted to have his ships destroy the bridge of the Vengeful Spirit, although it isn't clear why not. Sometime after the 13th Black Crusade, Narcissus the Pretender attempted to enact a hostile takeover of Chaos Bane, breaking his promise of keeping Slaneshi Corrupted confined to the world he was given. The Pretender, humiliatingly enough, was stalled by a force of Strider's own personal auxilia of human soldiers. The conflict, short as it was, ended when the Warsmith intervened and killed the Pretender, using him as an example to the remaining Noise Marines and Slaneshi cultists to keep them in line. The event which led to the resurrection of Atlas was around this time as well. A word-bearer master of possession had stolen the armor worn by Atlas and attempted to corrupt his soul to chaos. The Warsmith proceeded to become temporarily cornate and launched a total assault of the word-bearer's fortress planets. Everything in the Cantina sink was thrown at the Master of Possession, and it was soon discovered that Atlas had been returned to the world of the living. Atlas, incidentally, was placed under a spell that caused him to perceive Strider as the Master of Possession, and the latter as the former. Engaging his old friend directly, Warsmith Strider was able to, quite literally, knock some sense into the mountain, whereby Atlas joined Chaos Bane after 10,000 years of being dead and adrift in the warp. Chaos Bane, as an organization, primarily focuses its efforts toward the destruction of other Chaos warbands, and more specifically, those who turned against the Imperium after the Scouring. Strider, and Chaos Bane by extension, view those like the astral claws as no more than tantruming children, which I personally find ironic given Strider's own goals. Oh, right, I haven't covered that yet. The goal of Chaos Bane, at least that of the Iron Warriors among them, is to destroy any and all things in the galaxy that are even remotely connected to Chaos, and to eventually overhaul the galaxy and remake all worlds in it in the image of Olympia. The Warsmith believes that to be his idea of perfection and the ideal thing to strive for. It's really quite entertaining. What's even more entertaining is that he's probably expecting the Chaos Worshippers in his ranks to be as easy to cull as the ancient Thunder Warriors, which is just beautifully naive. As for the tactics used by Chaos Bane, they operate based on what you mortals would call blitzkrieg tactics. Although I suspect only the most scholarly of you would even recognize the term. Chaos Bane are fond of deploying Deathstorm drop pods, followed by teleporting in demon engines, followed by legionnaires to crush any and all remaining foes. Each and every time they deploy, they are led by Warsmith Strider, and each time they have come out on top. As much as I jest and jab, it's honestly kinda impressive. Until you remember that all of it is done out of spite towards the Chaos Gods, then it's just... I don't even know what to call it other than spiteful, really. Aside from that, Strider retains his own force of mortal auxilia, named the Rubigo Diable, or Rust Devils. The Diable reflect the Warband's brutality, be it through training or in combat. Recruitment and drilling is constantly done using live rounds, and they are enamored with the employment of one-handed power mauls meant to crack skulls as hammers twigs. Even the Rubigo Diable's traditions and conduct mirror this same brutality, echoing the old Iron Warrior disregard for combat losses and innovative tactics. The bodies of dead auxilia are collected and turned into a kind of combat servitor, each with all the ferocity of an Eversor assassin. Strange. No stranger than using the corpses of one's allies for food, but fairly strange. Either way, the Chaos Bane Warband stands as a warning to all followers of Chaos. Should you see a small fleet of ships overhead, be cautious, as you may just get a visit from an overzealous Warsmith and his merry, motley band of killers. He most likely won't be interested in hearing about the primordial truth, and will be infinitely more interested in how your helmet will look on his trophy rack. The last thing you'll hear is the war cry of a stalwart and unrelenting legion, as your prayers die in your throat, and you choke upon your own blood. Alright, is that good enough? Fine, then. I'm off to the planet of the sorcerers for a meal. Got a craving for psychedelic stingray.